You there live now. You are live now. You are live. Yes. Yeah. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good morning, wherever you may be watching me from. I'm Ike Festus Onyebuchi by name. Thank you for having me. Well, as you can see, the trend that is going on in the internet presently concerning Pastor Chris and Doris Ogala is something that is not surprising. These are things that have been happening before now with a lot of pastors, the so-called men of God, who are using the name men of God to deceive their followers. You know. So in the case of Doris Ogala, is a thing that caught for concern because she made mention of she being in her husband's house while she was having an affair with she was allegedly having an affair with Pastor Chris Okafor. So it's something that should not be encouraged, and these are things that should be brought to the notice of the authorities because some of these men who call themselves men of God are really taking advantage of their members, are also taking advantage of the public, you know. So Doris Ogala, the reason why the government are silent about all these things that is going on in the house of God, one, religious matter is a very delicate issue that if the government will go about enforcing some of these rules in the Christian in the house of God, and some of the Christians will twist it to the other side that it will be an attack against the Christian. And the reason the government are still keeping quiet about what is happening, most especially these men who are destroying the name men of God, is that the government is indirectly using them to to hold down the citizen because it is the prayer of these men of God that is holding most of these citizens not to take action against the federal government of Nigeria. Yes, under the law, Pastor Chris is doing the right thing. If he thinks that a very dark man is defaming his name, I believe he has the right. The law uh, permits him to take action to sue very dark man. So, who that come to accuse will surely have to prove to the law that yes, before you accuse someone of any crime, you must have had evidence to prove your case. Otherwise, you will get yourself to blame. Most of these church members, first of all, this issue of passport is a very delicate issue. It's a discussion or topic that really, if you are not careful, the people will think that we are against the church. No, nobody is against the church. We are against the attitude of those who are representing the church. If you call yourself a pastor, you should be able to present yourself and behave as a pastor. So for those who are his member, who really believes in him, who really think that the pastor is their God, whereas God is in heaven, God is only using men to his children. You understand? But in Nigeria, most especially, this issue of Christianity is taken too far, whereby most of these pastors have been worshipped as if they are God themselves, which they are worshiping. So if your pastor is doing anything which is not contrary to the rule of law, I think as a member, you have a right to caution or to speak out, because when you see evil, evil is evil, irrespective of where that evil is coming from. Yes. First and foremost, if you look at Nigeria as a case study, you will understand that as a result of um, uh, unemployment, a lot of persons have decided to take this pastoral duty as a means of employment, as a means of escaping poverty. So a lot are going into things which they are not supposed to go through diabolical means, because most of these people whom you have seen today that represent themselves or call themselves a pastor, they are not really called by the Lord. They called themselves to service. The reason why they call themselves to service is because of the monetary gain that they are going to gain in the process of doing what they are doing. That is the reason why you see every nook and corner of the country called Nigeria, you will discover that there is up to 5 to 8 churches in one location, because this, by law, the law do not recognize this issue of diabolical means. They believe in proof, you know, they believe in evidence. When you are talking about voodoo in the realm of, in the legal realm, is something that do not exist. You understand? So the law does not recognize voodoo. Even if you take the matter to police, police still do not recognize voodoo. You understand? So these are things that is strange. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Officially, it does not exist. That is what I meant by that. They know it's there, but officially, it does not exist. So that is how it is. Yes. Doris Ogala, my candid advice for her, she should uh, retrace her step, because before she get herself into this mess with Pastor Chris Okafor, allegedly, she said that she was married, that Pastor Chris Okafor pulled her away from her marriage. And then the same thing, she lost her only brother in the course of having this affair with Pastor Chris Okafor, allegedly. You know, so my advice for her If she can go back to her husband and apologize to her husband, if the man can see uh, any aspect of show mercy towards her and receive her back, you know, um, I think the only solution she have now is for her to retrace herself and seek for her husband's forgiveness. And then it is not left for the husband to accept or not to accept. But most importantly, is for her to apologize so she can seek peace from the husband. You know, even if the husband have moved on, she will never have that peace because she knew she really messed up. You know, so she have to find peace and give. She has to find peace for herself, then seek that forgiveness for God to forgive her. Then she will turn a new leaf. That is my candid advice for her. For the marriage of Pastor Chris Okafor with her, that one you know is not a go area. And yes, the rumor is out there that a lot of Lollywood actresses are into such things. She's not the first and she won't be the last. So a lot of them are using it to gain fame and also using it to make money for themselves, you know. So the the bone of contention here is these things will never stop because money is always involved in it. Uh, somebody said, yeah, at Lillian that I beg, forget that story. Forget that story. Lillian is saying we should forget the story. We will not forget the story because the reason why we won't forget the story, we have to talk about it so that the world and the public should be informed about the ease that is going on in our society today. You know, a lot of persons are still going to fall prey to this so-called man of God if if this information is not displayed to the public. Yes, it's a welcome development that every man should go and run a paternity test to know the status of their children. If they are the one that father those children, it is better they are aware at this early stage that the children are still growing up. You know, the case of Nigeria today. If you look at your left and right, you discover that there's a lot of unprotected sex that is going on in our country today as a result of a lot of action bitter, alemo bitters, all the bitters that is being distributed, that is being sold in the market. A lot of persons are advertising Ashuraju have all is just to advertise those things that enhance sexual that enhance sexual performance. And the result is us now. Nigeria has been ranked the second most populated people living with HIV. Kudos, Nigeria have won the trophy. Presently, if care is not taken, Nigeria is going to overtake South Africa, who is known to be the number one people living with HIV and AIDS. So the rate of unprotected sex in Nigeria issue is really called for concern, and it is high time the federal government go into action by introducing what is known as sex education to educate our citizens so that they should be able to understand that having prolific and unprotected sex can lead to something that will be something that can be destructive to them in the long run. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. See, hello. Can you hear me? Terrible network problem. You've been hanging for about 2 minutes now. I can't hear you. Yes, I can hear you now. Mhm, mhm. Yes, I said the federal government should educate us. I said the federal government should educate our citizens by introducing what is called sex education for them to be informed about for them for them to be found. I I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Your voice is cracking. Your voice is cracking really hard. Can you hear me now? Okay. I said the federal government should educate our citizens about the danger of having unprotected sex. If you look at presently in Nigeria, that Nigeria has been ranked the most second position in the country that have people living with HIV and AIDS. This should be called for concern because Nigeria had a very young population that is still growing, you know. So this should really call for a national issue. Very soon, Nigeria might overtake South Africa if care is not taken, you know. So when you have unhealthy society, not what follows, that society will crumble, you know. So that is it. Yes, I can hear. I can hear you. Yeah, yeah. It's a very welcome development from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. In the Middle East, Benjamin Netanyahu has been fighting terrorism against the Hamas, you know, who are terrorizing the people of Israel. And so it will be the interest of America and Israel to also come and help in defeating terrorism in Nigeria because terrorism in Nigeria or terrorism in Israel is terrorism everywhere. And it should also be made public for other nations who are really interested in fighting terror to come and join hands to dismantle the stronghold of terror in Nigeria because Nigeria presently is passing through that the coming of Benjamin Netanyahu is a very welcome development and it should be encouraged by all means necessary. Israel is one of the army in the world that is highly disciplined, that Israel do not target innocent civilians. Israel, before they go into any airstrike, they must have done their surveillance, they must have done all their homework. Then Israel used what is called smart bomb, precision guided weapon. They don't bomb recklessly at all. So when you are talking about any military in the world presently that thinks about civilians, you should be talking about Israel. Their interest is to protect the innocent civilian. The military of the Israel is the highly disciplined military in the world as of today. Thank you. uh, when I saw that news, I was just laughing. I was laughing out loud because you all know the history and the origin of these men who are being reintroduced into the Nigerian army. The same people you are fighting is the same people you are introducing into the army, into the police, calling them repentant Boko Haram. So the people who they are resupplying is also their colleague. So you took them from their colleague, you put them into the army so that they can allegedly have access to ammunition. That was the reason why they have been planted back into the military. It is only in Nigeria you will discover that a terrorist is being caught and they will integrate them into their security apparatus. I haven't seen that anywhere in the world. So it's laughable that Nigeria will apprehend a terrorist, they'll still put them in their military. So what do you expect? It wasn't the government of Jagaban, but it is the federal government of Nigeria that introduced them into the Nigerian military. It's a welcome development. It should do more. Yes, I give it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for him to have gone through this route. It means that even though that is selective in fighting corruption, uh, he should do more. Somebody was, yes, presently President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in a hot soup, you know. So the American government have, Donald Trump have come to distort the politics in Nigeria. So presently, the politics that you are seeing in Nigeria today is not the politics you knew 4 months ago. So a lot of things is going behind the doors, behind the scenes, you and I are not aware of, you know. So for him to have come through this route, at least pointing out Malami, is something that should be encouraged. Someone that was a just ordinary lawyer before uh, President Muhammad Buhari, just 8 years, it can afford, it has a corruption of 200 and something billion naira. My brother, that corruption is massive, you know. So he should be prosecuted and he should be able to prove where he got those illegal weight from, allegedly. Because I was meant to understand that Manami, the Abacha, the money that they call Abacha loot, it was Malami that allegedly returned that money using his own company. He employs some experts, and some 30% of that Abacha loot was sent back to him, you know. But it wasn't him directly, but the people he used in pulling that money is what where he really got those money from. Because according to President, during the era of President Goodluck Jonathan, they have already made arrangement for that money to be returned to Nigeria. What was holding that money not to come was just the signature of the Mr. President to be append on that document for them to start returning those Abacha loot back to Nigeria, the federal government. But when Manami became the AGF of Nigeria, he had to bring up his own thing, then doing it as if that and this thing has not been, the arrangement have not been on ground before. That is bringing some team of lawyers that are coming as a consultant, as a people who are going to do all the documentation, all those things, and certain amount of that money, separate percentage of those money will come to those people for their work, for their job. So uh, thereby removing itself from that corruption. But if you look at it indirectly or directly, is the brain behind those issues that is going on behind the scene. So it should be questioned and it should be uh, asked about how he went about that Bacha loot. If they are really interested in fighting corruption, they should check out for that Abacha loot that was returned back to Nigeria. Well, Italy is a country that you and I know that Italy has been one of is seen to be one of the responsible country out there in Europe. Everybody's always fighting for their own interest. Italy selling weapons to Nigeria. I think that's one of the ways for them to say, okay, we will support you to combat terrorism in Nigeria. That is their only way of showing their own support to Nigeria to give Nigeria the technical and the manpower to defeat the terrorists. That is all I can say about that. It's appalling to have come to understand that it is the France that is going to start collecting tax for Nigerians, where we have a lot of brains in Nigeria that is looking for this opportunity for this job, you know. So for Nigeria to have taken through this direction of introducing France to their monetary into their tax system is really cause for some concern because thereby a lot of Nigeria's information will be at the disposal of France. It's like you releasing the information of your citizen to another country. And you and I know that every responsible country in the world always protects the data of their citizens. It is only Nigeria that is doing it, you know. Everything about Nigeria is just opposite of every other country. So you should understand where Nigeria is coming from. So I am not surprised, you know. Hmm. The reason why Samuel Jackson was pardoned is because the issue of Samuel Jackson reached the desk of Donald Trump because the American lawmakers were discussing about how Nigeria sentenced Samuel Jackson to life imprisonment for defending himself against a terrorist. So Nigeria does not act naturally if not being pressured or persuaded by other meaningful country out there. That is to tell you that Nigeria does not really know what they are doing. Like I said, Nigeria is opposite of every other country that is out there. If other country is moving forward, Nigeria is moving backward. That is how Nigeria has been designed to be. You cannot defend, they cannot defend you, and they will not allow you to defend yourself. Every meaningful country knows that self-defense is a right for every human being living under the planet Earth. But it is only in Nigeria where a self-defense becomes crime. You know, what works in other countries does not work in Nigeria. So Nigeria is a crime scene. Come again, I can't hear you. Who converted to Muslim? Mazin Nandekalo is a man that is known for fighting for ordinary Nigerians, not just the Igbos alone. Even the first time he was arrested, he did the same thing in Kuje prison. You know, he fought for ordinary Hausa Fulani who were being arrested illegally. So he's doing it again. You should know that this is his person. Mazin Kalu hates everything that represents injustice. Wherever he sees injustice, he goes there and fight injustice. That is what he's known for. So the idea of Mazin Kalu converting to Islam, that statement is false. It can never be. Yes, thank you for having me. So my final thought for today segment is the Nigerians should take care of themselves and have protected sex in order not to distribute more HIV/AIDS to innocent people. So the federal government should reintroduce sex education to educate our citizens. Knowing should introduce sex education to its citizens to letting them know the dangers of having unprotected. Uh, that is my last thought for today. Thank you for having me.